So there are a few weird things going on in the tech industry right now. The first being that graphics card prices are still extremely high thanks to crypto mining. The best mega hash per watt cards out there right now are the 580, the 480 from AMD, also the 1060 and the 1070, which is why they are the most expensive. So it was difficult to build a PC like this, including an RX 480, to keep the price under $1,000 because these cards are typically going anywhere between $300 and $400, which I think is frankly ridiculous, but people are paying that for these cards. Something else you may have noticed, RAM and storage prices are fairly high. So if you want to spend around $60 on an SSD, that'll only get you 120 gigs worth of storage, whereas a year ago that would have easily gotten you 240. RAM prices, same thing. If you want to spend about $80 to $100, that'll only get you 16 gigs of RAM. 16 gigs of RAM a year ago was around $60, $70. So everything is relatively expensive. I had to add just an extra $100 on the storage and RAM just to get what you would expect in a build of this caliber. Also, the fact that the graphics card had to be bought on eBay for around $300, $315 didn't help either, because this card is only about $200 normally, but you're gonna have to spend $350 to get a card like this now because demand for these is so high. And that's ultimately why the price of this build came out to around $1,000. That's just the current market we have to work with, and there's no way around that right now unless you have a good buddy who's willing to hook you up with some awesome free stuff. Speaking of which, the only thing that I didn't have to pay for in this build, or that wasn't sponsored, and I'm including the prices of the sponsored stuff anyway, were these cables up here. So my friend Tony over at his channel Virility, I have it linked in the description, he's the one who made these awesome cables, not specifically for this build, but they do have the nice red, white, and black accents, and that's why I included them here. It fits with the whole AMD theme. So we have an AMD R5 1600 CPU that only costs $200. CPU prices are low, and that's a good thing. I also have a Gigabyte ITX Wi-Fi motherboard in there. I reviewed it specifically in this card right here. The cooler I used was an AIO. It's a Deepcool Captain 240EX, one of my favorite AIOs, period. It comes in black and red. You could also get it in a white accent as well, and it also ships now with Ryzen support. Now, in order to keep prices under control, because this would have easily exceeded $1,000 if I wanted the best of everything in its class, I only spent $20 on the power supply. It's the Zalman 600 watt power supply that I reviewed in the card right here. I thought it would be complete trash. It's not. It's actually fairly quiet, and it seems like it's efficient enough, even though it's not 80 plus rated, to run a system like this. I'm actually going to be giving this PC away. I kind of spoiled that. I was going to save that for later. But yeah, this PC will be given away to somebody on the planet. We're teaming up with Hardware Unboxed and Tech City. Each of us is going to be giving away one system like this one. So this is my system that I'm entering for the giveaway, and we'll have more details on that soon, but stay tuned, because yeah, this will be owned by one of you very soon. And last but not least, the case I've chosen is the NZXT Manta. It does cost a little over $100. Definitely could have saved a bit of the budget by going with a cheaper case, but to an extent, looks do matter, especially if you have a side window, which this one does. I just took it off so that there wasn't a glare on camera, but this looks phenomenal. This entire build looks great inside of this case here. I think the cables make everything pop as well, and I'm digging the black and red color scheme. So let's talk about performance for a second. I already reviewed the R5 1600 in detail. It's the one that's in here, remember. I compared it against the i5 7600K and the i7 6700K, and the R5 performed admirably. So in Cinebench, it blew everything away, and then in real-world performance, yeah, Adobe Premiere Pro, it rendered a 5-minute 1080p 60 FPS file in a decent time, a little under 300 seconds, which puts it not far off from the i7's performance, mind you, at 4.6 gigahertz. The 1600 clocked in here is at 3.9 gigahertz. As for gaming performance, what you might expect for a PC of this caliber and for the price, Grand Theft Auto 5 in 1080p pushing an average of a little over 90 FPS, which is solid, 1% and 0.1% lows staying around 60 FPS, which is good. That means no hard spikes and dips in the frame rate, which could interrupt the average gamer. Battlefield 1 1080p looking pretty good as well, average around 80 FPS, 1% and 0.1% lows also staying around 60 FPS. I tested Doom and Vulkan because that's what this system performed best in, and we're averaging around 110 FPS. This is really good with an ultra preset in 1080p, being that the system normally would cost you around $800. Last, I crushed this PC with Universe Sandbox 2, an extremely CPU intensive game, and actually did okay considering, thanks to its 6 cores and 12 threads. We're looking at around 40 FPS on average, 1% lows dropped to 20, and 0.1% lows dropped to a mere 15, but I should state that this game still looked fairly smooth while I was, blowing stuff up. Look, it's a solid PC for the price. If all I had in my budget was around $800 to $1,000 to spend on components given this current market, these are the parts that I would buy. I would try next to upgrade the graphics card to possibly a GTX 1070. So if you're wondering what I would upgrade next, that would be it. Also, probably the power supply. At some point, I recommend upgrading that. Storage is okay for now, 240 gigs. If you have your own like gaming hard drive and you happen to win this PC in the future giveaway, then I recommend throwing that in there just to have your games on that, and you can have all your immediate files, you know, video footage and music and your operating system on the SSD. You'll be good to go. If you like this video, like the build, maybe like something about life, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, thumbs down for the opposite, or if you hate everything about life, be sure to click the subscribe button. That's the red button down below. I'd appreciate that. Stay tuned for other content like this here on the channel. This is Science Studio. Thanks for building with us.